Hello, welcome back to my series in Factorio, in which I am attempting to build my very first Mega Factory. My name is Azrael. Come along with me as we continue our adventure. In the previous episode, we were setting up defenses in the brand new copper mine, but I wasn't quite able to get everything put in place. I still have some turrets that need to be put down and ammunition put in them. So I'm going to head up here. I'm going to first check on a few things because there's another priority that I've just noticed is that one of my trains has once again run out of fuel. Not only that, but it's blocking this roundabout and caused a bit of a deadlock. I've been doing some research into the roundabouts, and I remember mentioning a couple episodes back when I was first setting those up that there is some controversy surrounding the use of roundabouts, and I looked into it a bit more, and I'll probably end up getting rid of them again at some point in the future, because like I'm starting to see the light as it is in that design. So in the next couple of episodes, I'll probably be revamping my train network. But in the meantime, I'm not going to worry about that. I need to set up some electric engines so that I can finally start getting things like power armor suits and construction robots and all that fun stuff that I've been wanting for so long. I'm also taking out one of the flamethrower ammunition assemblers. Actually, that's a chemical plant, not an assembler, technically. But you get the idea. It's where it's manufactured. I'm getting rid of one of them because I just don't need two of them working on the same thing. And it was kind of taking away the heavy oil from the lubricant processing stations. So I get all that sorted out. It's still not flowing all that great, but it's better than it was before. In the meantime, I'm going to head back down into the copper mine and continue setting up these defenses that have been left alone. You can see that there's a lot of attacks coming in that southwest corner. So I'm going to go ahead and reinforce that corner so that hopefully more turrets can engage those intruders when they show up. And I'm not going to worry about putting more turrets along the western wall because the biters are coming from the southwest. In fact, speaking of, here is one of the big biter nests that is causing these attacks. So I'm thinking at first I want to come in from the side, but because of this dense forest here, not the most dense forest I've ever seen, but it's forest and it's in my way, so I'm going to come in from the north instead, head down here, do a traditional turret creep, take out some of those stragglers, and just head on south. Now I know that I had all this pretty much sorted out with all my brand new powerful ammunition. Right now I'm not actually making use of all of my options. I'm just sort of plunging headlong into the action with nothing but my combat shotgun and the turrets. And so I'm thinking, let's go flamethrower. That turned out to be a bad idea. So we're going to try this again, and this time not just running pell-mell into a huge line of worms. We're going to set down some turrets and do this slowly and methodically the way it's supposed to be done. We'll go ahead and take out that last worm and that last spawner, and it's done. Alright, pick up all of my turrets and what's left of my pride, and then head north back into the factory. And I know that I set up all these solar panels in a couple of episodes back, but I never actually picked them up to where they were actually viable for the entire factory. So I do need to take care of a few more of those. Right now I'm just setting up some extra defenses and refueling boxes around my unloading stations. Because I do know that there is a security vulnerability over here. You can see that there's a lot of biters that are attacking those. Okay, so here we go back into the main factory, pick up some more accumulators and some solar panels, and I'm just going to have to go back down and continue working on this by hand. Yeah, pick up some processing units because I am actually able to build another level of power armor. Not quite enough electric engines for it yet. So we're just going to go ahead and make do with what we've got. Tried to check the fuel level of that train, but I left the station before I had a chance. So we'll just sort of see how that works in the future. In the meantime, going back down here, doing more manual clearing of the trees and manual setting up of my solar arrays. I do know that this is rather boring to watch, but trust me, it doesn't last much longer. Because this episode, I do have a surprise. If I can, get my voice working properly. I have hit puberty, I promise. And just clearing out all these trees, setting them all down. Just absolutely nothing to really comment on here. It's just a long, boring, tedious process. But getting everything set up there. And, yeah, just lay them all down like that, and then I'm going to go back in and take out a few of them to put in the substations. Because the substations and the accumulators have the exact same footprint. And it's faster than switching between the two or leaving a gap. Alright, get all these out of the way. I'm going to put down some more over here. And since it is night, none of these are actually contributing to taking care of this problem yet. But we'll see how it fares once the sun comes back up. In the meantime, just keep putting stuff down. I actually run out of substations in my inventory and the necessary ingredients to craft them. And so while those while the remaining ones are crafting in my inventory, get rid of a stone there that was in my way. Let's go back and fill in all the gaps that I left behind and take care of some more of this tedious clearing of the forests. And it's just crafting up the last few advanced circuits. There we go. Now they're all finished. Just going to go ahead and take out this last little area. The forest is just starting to get really dense down here. Okay. And that's all I can do there. The power level is better than it was before, but not that great. I'm also at this point thinking that I want to set up some defenses for this area, because even though these don't produce pollution, which aggravates the biters, they do have migration patterns when they go to set up a new base somewhere, and if something like this is in the way, they'll just start destroying it, and lo and behold, I was right. They actually destroyed one of my solar panels there, the little jerks. So, no time better than the present to set up that defensive line. And in the future, as needs arise, this line will have to be moved, but that's going to become a much simpler process here in the near future. Get some more research out of the way. And as you can see, those accumulators are actually starting to power up, which is a sign that we're actually producing more power than the factory actually needs at the moment. But as you can see, it doesn't really last very long, and it runs out again before the night has even completely fallen. It's a sign that we're getting close, but still have a ways to go. And then I run out of everything in my inventory, so I'm going to head back up into the factory and pick up some more things. I actually had a solar panel crafting there because it turned out I had an odd number because of that one lone biter. But I'll just pick up a bunch more anyway. I'm going to go check on the electric engines, and lo and behold, I have enough to craft up the Mark I power armor. And I'm going to get some Mark II shields researched there in a moment, as well as crafting up a portable fusion reactor. I don't like using the personal solar panels because they are just terribly ineffective at doing their job. And as you can see there, I'm also crafting up my first batch of construction robots. I'm going to get everything put in. There's my personal RoboPort. And I can't quite make the Mark II batteries yet. That's actually being researched at the moment. But I can use my blueprint. But as I'm looking at it, it's not doing anything. It looks like the blueprint has been wiped clean, and I'm actually beginning to wonder if I ever actually saved the blueprint after making it. I probably did not, and just my own incompetence at that. Here I'm trying to see if there was some bizarre way of opening the schematic, but then I realized no, it's just blank. I had named it, but that's about it. And here we go, putting down the first few iterations, and with those construction robots in my inventory, making short work of what used to be a long and tedious process. That is absolutely wonderful. But I forgot to stock up on more substation supplies, so I'm going to go back and get some more of those. Those require advanced circuits, and I don't actually have a pickup box for those yet. So I just pick them up off of the main bus. And they also require steel, which I do have a box for. Craft up a bunch of those, and those do come up pretty quickly. I'm checking out my power supplies. The accumulators are fully charged during the day and slowly draining at night. I still don't think it's quite enough to last the entire night, but it is a significant improvement over what it was doing before. You can see all those accumulators just lighting up the night. I accidentally check out my production statistics instead of the power. But oh well, it's always good information to look at anyway. Alright, the Mark II shields are researched. I'm going to go ahead and put up some more turrets along the western wall here. If you can really call that a wall. I probably shouldn't actually call it a wall because walls are something completely different in this game. The western edge of my solar field. And I'm low on ammunition once again, so I'm having to fill it up with some of my personal supply. And I'm going to head up here and craft up some Mark I batteries so that I can actually make a Mark II battery, just to make sure everything stays powered up. And it's time to do some more advanced tricks. I didn't realize that there was a pipe there that was partially damaged. My construction robot just flew out and took care of it. But anyway, while we're waiting for those batteries to craft up, I'm also queuing up some of the brand new power switches. Another of the nice things that the 0.13 update has provided us, an actual switch that sits on the ground, and you can just walk up and activate it, and it will send power down the line or turn it off if that's what you'd like to do. And the beautiful thing about these is that they are controllable through the circuit network. So I'm going to go ahead and start setting up some of those just to have some finer control over my cracking and solid fuel plants in the future. And just trying to get all these cables to stretch across the whole place. They don't quite stretch that far. I need to put up another power pole. Yeah, it won't even connect to there. So we'll just do it that way. Break the connection there so that it just serves the heavy oil cracking plant. And one for the lubricant as well. Yeah, this way I can just walk up and turn it on, turn it off whenever I need them. But there's also that part of it that's like, I don't want to have to walk over here manually every time there's a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and set up some basic circuit networks. I'm going to go ahead and have it read the contents of just one of these storage tanks, because as they are laid out the way they are here, each storage tank in this array has pretty much the same amount of liquid as every other storage tank. They kind of share them all equally when it's set up like this. So if I can read the contents of one tank, I pretty much know what the contents of them all are. So I'm going to go ahead and get a green circuit line connecting all of these. And they just don't quite stretch as far as that power line can actually go. So I'm just trying to figure out the shortest, or the longest distance rather, between the two that I can do. In the meantime, I just end up doing it like that. So each of these switches is reading the contents of one storage tank from the heavy light and petroleum gas storage tanks, and if they are if they have 2,300 units in them, it's going to activate that power switch, which then in turn activates the line of chemical plants attached to it. That being with since each of those can hold 2,500, that basically means when it's almost full, it will activate the plants beyond it and help to minimize the amount of storage tanks that are actually full and preventing my oil processing refineries from firing. And in the meantime, I also noticed that my copper train has also run out of fuel. I'm going to go ahead and pick up some of my solid fuel out of there and take care of that problem. This is another thing that's probably going to be automated in the near future, probably once I get my rail network sorted out. There that goes. Yeah, all of those steel chests are full of copper ore just waiting to be picked up. I'm going to go ahead and check out my power system in the meantime. That's actually looking pretty good. I'm not entirely convinced that it still lasts the entire night, but it doesn't seem to be a huge problem at the moment. And now that I have my construction robots, I can go ahead and just add on more whenever I need to. Check out the refueling box there. Right now, those are set up in a manual sort of thing, so I'm going to have to make sure that they don't run out while my back is turned. In the meantime, that's going to go ahead and take care of that. And then I'm just sort of thinking about what I need to do here. I'm looking at this this train station here. I'm going to go ahead and recolor some of these trains so that I know which one is which. The iron train will be iron colored and the copper train will be copper colored. More or less. That looks pretty good. That way when they pass I can actually see which ones are which. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and create a blueprint for this station. That looks like that should cover it. That should be everything I need. I'm going to go ahead and call that the ore unloading station. And just seeing how that stacks up over there. I don't actually have the resources in my inventory for my construction robots to go ahead and build that, but it's nice to know that I could once I need it. I don't really need it right now though, so I'm not going to worry about it. Another thing I'm considering is getting a blueprint for my smelting setup, something kind of like that. But then I realize I'm also not using the right belts yet, so I'm not going to worry about setting that up just at the moment. The next big concern, I believe, is going to be the circuit production. I've talked about moving that to its own dedicated facility, because as you can see right now, what I've got is outputting almost a fully compressed yellow belt. Obviously, we're going to need a whole lot more than that if we're going to call ourselves a mega factory. But, you know, just thinking about how it's set up, it's probably a bit of overkill on the iron input. I believe I really only need one belt bringing that in, but it's not a huge concern for me at the moment. I'm looking at all of my my new circuit network controlled facilities, wondering why that one's not going, even though it says it's got enough. And then suddenly it turns on, just all by itself. So it is working. That's really awesome to sit there and see that doing it on its own. The heavy oil should be needed, or being used rather, for the lubricant production. So that probably won't fill up on its own for a good long time. But it's nice to know that that automation is still there. One last thing I want to set up in today's episode is an express belt facility added onto my fast belt facility. But first, I see that there is an ongoing attack down here in my steam engine. There goes the construction bot once again. It was one fighter taking out one random steam engine in the middle of my columns here. It always seems kind of strange that they don't go for the ones on the outside, that they'll just pick one in the middle and say, screw you in particular, and then go after that one. But who knows how alien biters think. They seem to be a bit more of a primitive life form than us. So I'm not going to sit here and try to understand the way they work. So I'm just going to go back up here to my belt production facility and start setting up those express belt assemblers, feeding everything in from my overflow boxes for the fast belt supplies. And I am going to have to bring advanced circuits in from the belt, even though they're not, or from the main bus rather. But right now they're not being produced in a very high quantity, and that's probably because of the limitation on the electronic circuits. But it's something that I'll sort out for a later time. Right now I want to get this infrastructure in place, get all of those producing what they need to do. Should be getting everything in place, and now it just needs some power. And finally, it needs the lubricant to come in. Just go ahead and bring that up from where it was feeding the electric engine assembler. Had that off by one tile. And get everything hooked up. And that should be working just fine. Now they just need output boxes. Once again, I'm not setting a filter on the belt output. On the other ones, I want to output them into one box and then set up filters, but for some reason my filters are not working. I could have sworn that it was possible to put filters on these chests, but they weren't working. So I'll just do what I normally do and output them each to their own box. And in the meantime, that is all we have time for in today's episode. I want to thank you very much for watching. My name is Azrael. Never stop building.